Joining me now, Threadneedle Ventures founder Ann Berry and Key Advisors Group CEO Eddie Ghabour. Eddie, it's great to see you, and Ann as well. Eddie, I will start with you. Let's talk about small caps. Is the small cap, mid cap space the play right now in the first quarter in particular, because we've got a little bit of uncertainty with the large cap names?
So that's one of the areas that we think that the opportunity for this year is due to a catch-up trade, because they have definitely, I think small caps are still about 20% off of their highs from when we sold at the end of 2021. So we think that as the economic data gets weaker and we get cross currents here in the first quarter, it's going to provide opportunities for small caps and mids. So we did dip our toes and bought smalls and mids caps on Friday on that dip. We will continue to dollar cost average down. So we expect the pressure to be downwards on price action in these areas this quarter, but we think that's going to be an opportunity to generate alpha in the portfolio, because I believe the small cap and mid caps, if we're going to broaden out, that's going to be the area where you'll see a major catch-up trade, in our opinion.
Yeah, buy low, sell high, and that's the thinking here. Do you think that there's a risk beyond the small cap space, in particular, really in the near term? And I say that, Ann, because I know that you've gotten real defensive.
I have, and that comes back to this point of finding opportunity as we see a broadening out, Cheryl. You know, one of the areas that I've been really interested in is looking at which are the names that are really domestically focused here in the US, because let's take a look at the backdrop. We are seeing equity risk premiums right now lower even than they were after the great financial crisis, which means confidence in equity prices is higher even than it was in a recovery period. And so I'm now trying to think about, well, where can capital go so that when there is a correction in equity prices, there's still going to be some upside available. And places like Cintas, it's a uniform rental business, it's performed very strongly. Those are the kinds of companies highly levered to the domestic market with stable EBITDA margins and upside potential that haven't had as much attention in the world of tech that we saw over the last year, where there's an opportunity to get into them now.
Yeah, and Bear just upgraded their price target on Cintas to a 660, so that's an interesting pick from you. Eddie, let's get to picks from you. You're looking at India. What are we missing with the India story right now?
So look, India, we've owned India for several months. I believe our first purchase was June of last year. And when you look at that country and the growth that they're seeing in GDP, and look, even the last 6 months of the year, it outperformed the Qs and the SPY. And so it's also an indirect play on tech, because you're seeing companies move business from China to India. So it's China's loss, and they're struggling financially and economically, and India is winning there. So you have an economy that is extremely robust. Their inflation is at pre-COVID levels. And so from a macro backdrop and getting outside of the U.S., that has been an area that we've been very bullish on. It's our highest conviction. We actually bought more today on the dip this morning.
Okay, real quick, I've only got about a minute. I do want to get both of your takes on NVIDIA, and I'm going to ask you what I ask other guests on the shows. Eddie, if NVIDIA was a baseball game, what inning are we in right now?
I would say that we are in the 7th inning right now, and there's not a more important stock in this market right now than NVIDIA. Okay. For full disclosure, we actually bought semis on the dip this morning.
Okay, and I'm not sure if you're a baseball fan, but same question.
I think we're a little bit earlier, Cheryl. There were just 2 big announcements in the last 48 hours. More relationships in the drug discovery space, such as Amgen, so new partnerships being struck. And just at CES today, big unveil of 3 new GPUs. So I think we've got a little bit more to run on NVIDIA than I think, Eddie, your perspective. I have a slightly different view.
All right, well, we're going to get an update from CES later on in the show, so that's a good tee up. Guys, thank you so much. Ann and Eddie, appreciate all of that.